Good day, and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan battle video. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at Janemba Modified, the TEQ Janemba that came out with the Dragon Ball Heroes banner. So it's a little while since we touched on the Heroes unit. I think Janemba is my second to last Heroes review. So yeah, pretty simple stuff. And he's got a pretty interesting passive actually. He has a high chance of guarding all attacks for 5 turns from the start of turn. Guards all attacks guaranteed when facing 2 or more enemies. He has attack and defensive plus 20% per crossover category ally on the team up to 150%, with an additional attack of 50% with each super attack performed up to 150, and an additional defense of 30% with each attack received. He can also, of course, after receiving a certain amount of attacks, have crit chance, which is pretty good. He also stacks attack and defense at 30% for 3 turns, and he's got Fear and Faith, Metamorphosis, Big Bad Bosses, Shocking Speed, Nightmare, and Brutal Beatdown. Not a lot of categories is old Janemba, but he's a pretty interesting unit. He, look, at 55%, maybe not so interesting, but he isn't even awakened, so that's what makes him super interesting, is we don't even know how good his Dokkan Awakening is, and traditionally the Heroes Dokkan Awakenings are quite strong. They generally just improve on the unit quite substantially, so for me personally, I think Janemba could come out to look really good, but even right now he's actually a pretty surprisingly usable unit. Obviously, yeah, he starts off a little bit slow, but he can pretty quickly ramp up his defense. The high chance to guard is a little bit disappointing, but I think when he Dokkan Awakens, that's going to become either a great chance to guard or just be guard, pretty much. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Overall, I think Janemba has a very nice kit. I think his passive or his link set's also pretty decent actually. Fear and Faith, decent enough. Shocking Speed, also a secondary key link. Big Bad Bosses, exceptional. Metamorphosis, pretty good as well. Overall, not bad, honestly speaking. I don't think he's got a bad link set in any shape of the imagination. So, yeah, I think Janemba looks pretty good. Obviously, a bit of link leveling will help him out. Big Bad Bosses is 25%. Metamorphosis is up to another 15%. And then you've also got, obviously, just the general strength increase of Fear and Faith and those kind of links. But yeah, Big Bad Bosses is his major one. 859,000 doesn't look like a lot, but remember that's going to skyrocket as he builds up stacks on his super attack. So you want to build him additional, by the way. But as he builds up stacks on his super attacks, as he gets hit, as he builds up all of these mechanisms, he's going to be looking very solid. So yeah, Janemba I think looks very good, at least personally. I think he looks very good, and yeah, when his guard does activate, Janemba is pretty good. Honestly speaking, he's really quite good. I think Janemba looks really impressive actually. But yeah, beyond that, there's nothing too much really else to mention about him. Janemba looks great. I think overall, he's got a fantastic kind of kit. I think a little bit of link leveling will help him, especially with him being unawakened. I think equipment will help him as well. Additionals, defensive equipment, all those sort of things will generally help push him to being very solid. But I think overall, he's just a very solid unit. Even at 55%, I mean, look here, we've got some support on the rotation, but 174k, that's a lot of defense. Like, that's a lot of defense. No Big Bad Boss is active either. That's a hell of a lot of defense. So, yeah, for me, yeah, up to 1.5 million now. We can still raise it a little bit further. It's, yeah, for me, I don't know. Doesn't look like there's anything distinctly wrong with him, personally. I just think he's really rock solid. He provides a lot to the team. He's a good front slot tank. If you've got a dupe in this guy, he can actually be a front slot tank as is. Of course, you need his guard to proc, but that's not so difficult to do considering the circumstance. Like, it's not impossible for his guard to proc just because, you know, like it's 50%. It's a relatively decent rate. I think obviously you can get caught out. I mean, if you go into like red zone or something and Janemba's guard doesn't proc, then yes, you are probably in a bit of a bad situation. But I think that's most units. You know, you're basically doing a flip of the coin. Janemba guard proc, okay, cool, sorted for 5 turns. Janemba guard doesn't proc, okay, in a bit of a sticky wicket. But if it does proc, he can quickly build up those stacks, very quickly get going, and I think he'll look pretty impressive. Here we've got Big Bad Bosses active, which is great. We're in the middle slots. We've got everything we need. We've got a lot of support on the... Well, we've got some support on the rotation. 264,000 defense. With guard and with the ability to raise it after super, I don't know. He looks pretty good to me. Really, really solid. I think all he's missing is... actually, no, because he has guaranteed crit. So there's really nothing too much he's missing. Very excited for his awakening. 2.6 mil. Thank you very much. Awesome stuff. And yeah, Janemba is looking very, very tasty. At least I think so. I think he's got a really lucky kit. I think he's got a great kit. I think he really brings things together. I think he helps out the Heroes team, the Extreme Heroes team, substantially as well. Just being a first slot tank does generally improve the Heroes team quite a lot. They need a first slot tank really, really desperately. Without one, they not bad, but they need him. They need that first slot tank. They need someone that can soak damage, that can eat supers, that can eat attacks. They need that kind of unit. With that unit, their team looks so much better. It's so much more fluid. They got plenty of units that are great after super. It's just, yeah, they definitely need that, that little bit extra push, basically. But Janemba's really great at that. And yeah, he looks great. Obviously, only real issue is his link synergy, but we'll talk about that now. But yeah, overall, I think Janemba is looking really solid. He's an exciting unit. I'm keen to see his awakening, and yeah, it's very interesting to see where he goes as a unit. Like, where does Janemba go from here? How much better a tank will he become? But yeah, overall, link set wise, so as we've mentioned, Big Bad Bosses, Fear and Faith, Shocking Speed, Brutal Beatdown, Nightmare, Metamorphosis. All of these are his links. He'll gain 1 when he awakens, which will probably be Shattering the Limit, because he will probably awaken from a story event. So he'll gain Shattering the Limit, and yeah, so a decent link set at the end of the day. It will be pretty solid. Fear and Faith is a pretty decent key link, so I'm not too worried about Fear and Faith. I think it's overall pretty rock solid. Yeah, I think, looking at Big Bad Bosses as a team, and looking at, obviously, their whole design, or not Big Bad Bosses, sorry, Dragon Ball Heroes as a team, I think Janemba will be fine. He's definitely a first slot tank. There's a lot of fluid support on the Dragon Ball Heroes team. You look at units like the lead in the form of Hearts. You look at Cooler, Golden Cooler. You look at, for example, any of those units, and there's fluid support floating everywhere. So all you really need to activate is Big Bad Bosses, and Janemba will be more than fine. Key wise, more than fine. Everything else, more than fine. He's going to be looking really, really solid. So yeah, I for one am super excited to see where Janemba's at. I'm super excited to see where he ends up. But yeah, I think overall he's a very solid unit. Obviously he links up great with other Janembas, but the problem with Janemba is that he does rely on crossover units from his passive. So if you don't run him on a crossover team, then you are probably going to be missing out just a little bit. So I would suggest, I would consider working on him on a crossover team. But hey, you know what, that's just me. I'm not going to say anything too much. But I do think that's definitely where I think Janemba lies, at least for me. But yeah, overall, very solid unit, very exciting unit. And yeah, I think there's nothing really else too much to say. If you were not lucky enough to get Janemba, you should have a decent chance to get him next year, as long as you summon on the Heroes banner. If you don't get him on the Heroes banner, it does become quite difficult to get some of these older units. You may have to look at the Extremes Awakening banner that will come out, etc. But yeah, Janemba, pretty good. Really like him. Think he's great, and I think he desperately gives the Dragon Ball Heroes team what they need, especially when he Dokkan Awakens. But that's it from me. See you. Bye.